Hey guys, welcome back to the channel again. In today's tutorial, we're going to take care of Artix Linux with the S6 init system. And this is going to be the last tutorial about Artix Linux for now. Let's get going. So let's get going with the installation of Artix Linux with the S6 init system. And again, let me pull up here the window. We need to go here to the artixlinux.org website and click on download. Scroll down until we find the base installer, and we want to download this base S6 ISO installer. So I'm going to install it again on my laptop so that I can show you how to connect to the internet also via Wi-Fi. And so we can download the ISO, burn it to a stick, and boot the machine from there. So when it boots up, you will see at one point it looks like it's stuck. So you'll have to press enter on your keyboard, and then you will be asked to enter your username and the password, which is as usual Artix for the username and Artix for the password. So let's boot the machine then from the ISO, and I'll meet you back there once I'm logged in. So I logged in here to my machine via SSH. It took me a little bit of fiddling around to do this because internet was not working out of the box even with an Ethernet cable. And if you try to type in IP space A, now you can see I have an IP here ending with 108, but in your case you'll probably see nothing. So you'll have probably the Ethernet connection down and also the Wi-Fi connection down. So what happened is that on this ISO, the DHCPCD service is not actually running. And so if you have a cable connected, you will not be able to get any IP. So what we need to do here, we need to first enable the service so that we are able to connect to the internet. And to do this, you can actually type in S6-RC and then -U for up and then change. And the service name is DHCPCD-SRV. And hit enter. Once you do that, you'll have Ethernet connection, but you will not have Wi-Fi yet. And so do I. I don't have any Wi-Fi active right now. So let me delete this command. So now if we want to connect also to the wireless, for example, we need to activate also the command D service because it's not active by default. So to activate it, we can type in S6-RC-U for up and then change. And the service name is conman D-SRV and hit enter. Now we can bring up our WLAN 0 interface by typing in IP link and then the interface name, so WLAN 0 and then up and hit enter. Now you can see here operation not possible because the Wi-Fi card is blocked, so we need to unblock that first. To do this we can type in rfkill unblock Wi-Fi and hit enter. And now we can pull up again the last two commands here, IP link set up and hit enter, and it will work fine. Now we can use conman to connect to our wireless. So we can type in conman ctl and hit enter. Now the first command we want to run is to scan for Wi-Fi. So we can type in scan Wi-Fi and hit enter. And there you go, the scan is complete. So to list the networks, we can type in services and hit enter. And we have the list of services here. So my Wi-Fi, for example, is this one right here. Before we can connect to it, we need to enable the agent for user requests. So we can type in agent on and hit enter. And now we can connect to the Wi-Fi by typing in connect. And then we can use the autocomplete feature. So Wi-Fi underscore and then tab to autocomplete the first part. And I'm going to enter just the first three numbers of the Wi-Fi. So 656 and then tab to autocomplete and hit enter. Now we can enter our passphrase and hit enter. And now we are connected to our wireless network. So we can quit out of this utility by typing in quit and hit enter. Clean up the terminal. And now let's type in IP space A. And you can see here we have also an IP on our Wi-Fi, which ends with 119. So everything is up and running, and we can clean up the terminal and proceed by partitioning our disk. But before, let's type in lsblk. And you can see here my disk is NVMe 0 and 1, and it's already partitioned here in 2 because I have already a system installed there. So what I need to do, I need to delete these two partitions and recreate them from scratch. So to do this, we're going to use cfdisk. So I'll type in cfdisk /dev/NVMe 0 and 1 and hit enter. I'm going to move here to delete, and that's done. Move down to the other partition and move to delete and hit enter. Now we need to write the changes to the disk, so let's hit write and type yes and hit for confirm. And now we are ready to create our partition. So let's go to new. We create first the EFI partition, which is mandatory. So I'm going to do this 200 megs. So I'll type in 200 megabytes and hit enter. Go to type and hit enter. And select here EFI system, since this has to be a EFI system partition, and hit enter. Now let's move down to the free space and hit enter. And we can accept here the defaults because I want to create only a root partition, so I can hit enter here. File system type is already Linux file system, so that's fine. And then I can go to write and type in yes and hit enter. And the partition table has been altered. So now we can quit from the program. So let's go to quit and hit enter. Clean up the terminal and type lsbrk, and we have our two partitions in there. So now that we created the partitions, we can format them. Let's begin with the first partition, which is going to be a FAT file system because it's a EFI system. So we can type in mkfs for make file system .fat-f32, so a FAT32 file system type. And then the partition name is /dev/nvme0n1p1 and hit enter. Now we repeat the process for the second partition, our root partition. So we can type in mkfs. And I'm going to format this as an ext4 file system type. So I'll type in ext4 and then the partition name. So /dev/nvme0n1p2 and hit enter. Now, because I had already a file system in there, I need to delete the existing one. So I'll type in y here and hit enter. You probably don't need to do this. And now the partition is formatted. So we can clean up the terminal. So let me type in lsbrk. And let's begin by mounting our second partition into the mount directory where we want to install our system. So let's type in mount /dev/nvme0n1p2, and the mount point is /mount, and hit enter. Now we need to mount also the first partition into the boot directory, which is not existing yet. So we need to create that first by typing in mkdir -p because I want to create two directories. So then /mount, which is already existing, /boot/EFI. So I want to mount this under the EFI directory and hit enter. And now we can mount the first partition in here by typing in mount /dev/nvme0n1p1. And the mount point is /mount/boot/EFI and hit enter. Let's type in again lsbrk to check our mount points. So the first partition on EFI, the second one on the mount directory, so everything looks good. So now we can proceed by installing the base system. And to do this, we can type in base trap /mount. So we're going to install the packages here. And the packages are base and base-devel. We need to install also, of course, S6 and also elogin d-s6. And I want to install also the Linux kernel and also Linux-firmware, an editor, which we'll need later. So in my case, Vim. And because I have an Intel processor in my computer, I will install also Intel-ucode. And if you have an AMD processor, you can replace, of course, this with AMD-ucode. Then we can just hit enter. So this is going to take a second to download and install, and I'll be back when it's done. So the packages are now installed and we can clean up the terminal. And now we can generate the file system table in Artix with this command, fstab gen and then -U, so using the UUIDs of the partitions, and then /mount. And we're going to append this to /mount /etc/fstab and hit enter. There you go. Now, if we check the fstab file by typing in cat /mount /etc/fstab and hit enter, we can see we have our two partitions in there with all options available. So we can clean up the terminal and move now into the installation by typing in rtools -root and then the directory, which is /mount, and hit enter. So we are now in the installation and not anymore in the ISO installer. So we can clean up the terminal and we can proceed by creating the swap file. So we can do the swap file by typing in dd and then if equals /dev/0 of equals /swap file, and then bs for the base equal 1g, and the count is equal 2. So we are creating a 2 GB swap file, and the status equal progress. You want to see what's going on, and hit enter. There you go. Now we need to change the permissions on the swap file, so we can type in chmod 600/swap file and hit enter. Now we can make the swap by typing in mkswap /swap file and hit enter. And we can activate the swap by typing in swap on /swap file and hit enter. Now we need to enter this also in the fstab file. So let's type in vim/etc/fstab and hit enter. We'll go down here to the empty space and we'll enter /swap file, and the mount point is none. The file system type is swap. Options are defaults, and the file system checks are 0 and 0. And we can save the file and exit vim. And now we're ready to work on our localization stuff. So first, time zone. Let's type in ln-sf/user/share/zoneinfo/Europe/Zurich. You replace, of course, this with your time zone. And we're going to link this information to /etc/local time and hit enter. Now that we have this, we can synchronize the hardware clock and the system clock by typing in hwclock and then --sys2hc and hit enter. All right, now we can work on our locales. So we can type in vim/etc/locale.gen and hit enter. We scroll down to look for our locale. So again, I'm looking for English US, which is up here. And we need to find the one which has the line UTF-8, which is this one right here. So we can delete the hashtag. And then we can save the file and exit vim. Now we can generate the locales by typing in locale-gen and hit enter. And now we need to put also this string into the locale.conf file by typing in vim/etc/locale.conf and hit enter. And we enter the string lang equal the string we just found, so en_us.utf-8. Then we can save the file and exit vim. And this is done. So now it's time to work on the host name. So let's type in vim/etc/hostname and hit enter. I'll call this machine Artix S6, and then we can save and exit vim. And we can work also now on the host file. So let's type in vim/etc/hosts and hit enter. I'll go down again here to the empty space, and I'm going to enter the IPv4 address 127.0.0.1, then a tab and then localhost. In the next line, the IPv6 address, ::1, tab, localhost again. And in the last line, 127.0.1.1, a tab, and then our host name. So in my case, it's Artix S6.local domain, a tab again, and then again, Artix S6. And we can save the file and exit vim. And now we can give a password to our root user. So let's type in passwd and hit enter. Enter the new password and retype it. There you go. Now let's clean up the terminal and proceed by installing some packages and also our bootloader. So let's type in pacman-s. And the first package is grub, our bootloader. And because it's a UEFI system, we need to install also EFI boot mgr. And I want to install also network manager and also network manager -s6. And I want to install also network-manager-applet. It's going to be helpful for the desktop environment. And I want to install also DOS FS tools, one tool for fat file systems. And I'm going to install also Linux-headers and some packages also for our Bluetooth adapter. The first one is Blues and also Blues-S6. And I'm going to install also Blues-utils. And the same goes for the printing system. So I'm going to install CAPS and also CAPS-S6. And the last two packages I want to install for this installation is XTG-utils and XTG-user-dirs. You can also add other packages if you need to, but for me this is enough, and I will hit enter. Now I will accept the defaults here and then press enter to start the installation. Now again, this is going to take a moment to download and install, so I'll be back when it's done. There you go, the packages are installed. So let's clean up the terminal and install grub by typing in grub-install. And then we need to define the target, so --target equal x86_64-EFI. And the EFI directory equal to the boot EFI I defined at the beginning, so /boot/EFI. And then --bootloader-id equal grub. And hit enter. It's going to take a second to install. There you go. Now we can generate the configuration file for grub by typing in grub-mkconfig-o, and the output goes under /boot/grub/grub.cfg, and hit enter. And this is done. So as for the run it init system, I'm going to actually enable the services once we reboot the machine. But for now, we can still add one user to the system by typing in user add -m capital G and then wheel and then the username, in my case, my name, and hit enter. So again, the M switch is the home directory and the capital G is the supplementary group, which is the wheel group, has to do with the sudo privileges. We'll do this in a second, but before, let's give a password to the user by typing in pass wd and then the username and hit enter. Enter the new password and retype it. There you go. Now let's type in editor equal vim and then sudo and hit enter. Now let's scroll down until we find the wheel group we just talked about. And we need to find the one which has the line all equal all, which is the first one. So we need to uncomment this line. And now basically every member of the wheel group will have sudo privileges as well. So we can save the file and exit vim. And this is basically done for the base install. So what we need to do here, we need to exit the installation and return to the ISO. So we can type in exit. We can unmount now all the partitions by typing umount -r and then /mount and hit enter. And now we can reboot our machine by typing in reboot and hit enter. So I'm connected here via SSH, so I'm not going to see anything here. But go ahead, reboot your machine. You will see the grub bootloader and you can boot your Artix installation from there. And again, when you boot up the machine, you will see at a certain point, the lines of the screen are not moving. That means you can just hit enter and you will see the login prompt. Then log in with your username and password and I'll meet you back there in a second. So here we go. I logged in again via SSH to my laptop. And the first thing here, let me actually switch to the root user. So let me type in sudo su and hit enter. Enter my password. There you go. And change to my home directory. And now I have already internet connection because I activated Network Manager. It's not enabled yet to start at boot, and I didn't do this because I wanted to show you how it's done. But we need to start the service if you want to download packages anyway. So to start Network Manager with S6, we can type in S6-RC-U for up and then change. And the service name is Network Manager. Then once you hit enter, if you have a cable connected to your computer, you will have an IP immediately. If you have Wi-Fi, no worries. Now that Network Manager is working, let me delete this command here. We can type in nmtui and hit enter and go to activate a connection. We can select our Wi-Fi here, for example, and enter our password. I will not do this because I have already a cable, but if you want, you can go ahead and enter your password and hit OK, and you will have an IP as well on your Wi-Fi card. So let me get out of here. There you go, and let's clean up the terminal. Now we need to activate the services we need for our machine. Now in the S6 init system, there is a concept called the bundles. So think of the bundles like a collection of services for your system. So in S6, we have two of those. One is the boot bundle and one is the default bundle. The one which actually will be most dealing with is the default bundle, and that's the one we're going to use, of course, for our services. So in order to enable the services all at once, we can use the bundle command like this: s6-rc-bundle add, then we use the default bundle, so we'll type in default, and then the services we want to use. So the first one is Network Manager. And remember, we installed also the Bluetooth service and the CUPS printing system. So let's activate also the Bluetooth service by typing in Bluetooth D and also CUPS D. So when we hit enter here, basically all these services are going to be enabled the next time we boot the machine. Now, Network Manager, it's already working because we started the network already, but it's going to boot automatically the next time we boot up the machine. So let's hit enter now, and all the services are now enabled. We could start them up as well without rebooting the machine one more time. So for example, if you want to start the Bluetooth service right now, we can type in S6-RC-U and then change Bluetooth D and hit enter. And we could do the same also for the CUPS printing system. So we replace Bluetooth D here with CUPS D and hit enter. and the services are now working as well. I will leave a link in the video description below to all of these commands on the Artix wiki. So now that we have our services available, we can proceed and install the rest of the system. But before we do this, let me show you something that might help you downloading packages. So we have actually two files available to us to download packages. One is the Artix mirror list, and the other one is the Arch mirror list. And I actually suggest you edit the Arch mirror list to customize it to your needs, because sometimes it can be fairly slow to download packages from other repositories. So to do this, we can type in vim/etsy/pacman.d/mirrorlist-arch and hit enter. Now you can see here we have only two servers available to us already active, at least in my case. So what I want to do here, I want to search for the servers in my country by searching for my country. In this case is Switzerland, and it's right here. So what I want to do, I just want to pick one. You can pick as many as you like. I'm going to copy here by hitting Y on the keyboard to copy this line. And I'm going to move back to the top of the file. And I'm going to enter a space here and paste it here with the letter P. And also remove the hashtag to activate it. I actually don't need these other two, so I'll just put an hashtag in here. And now I can save the file and exit Vim. And to refresh the servers, we can now type in pacman-syy and hit enter. And there you go. So let's clean up the terminal and install the rest of the packages we need for our system. First, the graphics driver. So let's type in pacman-s. So in my case, I have an Intel card in my computer, so I can type in xf86-video-intel. If you have an AMD card, you can type in, instead of Intel, AMD GPU. And if you have an NVIDIA card, you can replace the whole package here with NVIDIA and also NVIDIA-utils and also NVIDIA-settings if you want. This will work for most recent cards. If you have a card from 2010 or earlier, you might need to install some packages from the community, and I'll leave a link to this in the video description below. But let me install my Intel card here, so xf86-video-intel. Now our display server is Xorg, and again, I'm going to follow here the Artix wiki to remove one package, so I'm going to type in --ignore xorg-server-xdmx. And now we need to decide also the desktop environment we want to install. So I want to install again KDE. So the display manager for KDE is sddm. And I'm going to install also sddm-s6. And the packages I want to install for my KDE installation are Plasma. And you can install also KDE-applications if you want to have more apps for KDE. In my case, I don't need this. I'm going to go very light this time. I just want to install the console and maybe a browser. So in my case, Chromium. And then we can hit enter. So we need to accept the defaults here for all these packages. And now we can proceed with installation by hitting enter. So again, this is going to take some time to download and install, so I'll be back when it's done. So there you go, the packages are now installed. So there is one last step actually we need to perform before we can reboot our machine. So we need to enable the display manager. The thing is, we need to add actually this service to the bundle we just created. We could start the service now, but we need to enable it so that it boots up when the machine starts. So because we have already a bundle for the default, we need to basically update that bundle with the STDM display manager. So to do this, we need to type in s6-rc-bundle-update add default SDDM and hit enter. All right, so this is basically done. So what we need to do now, we can reboot our machine, and if everything went well, we will be greeted by the STDM display manager where we can enter our password and log into KDE. So let me type in reboot here, and I'll meet you back in the KDE desktop in a second. So here we are in KDE, the installation was successful. So we have basically all the system installed, the S6 init system works fine, and I've seen, especially in boot times, a lot of improvements. It's really quick in booting up. And let me open up the terminal here. So I'll go to console here and hit enter and increase the font size. Let me go full screen while I'm at it. And now it's interesting to see actually what services are already enabled in the system. So to do this, we can type in sudo s6-rc-a for active and then list and hit enter. Enter our sudo password. And you see here we have a lot of them. So let me pull up again the last command here, and I'm going to pipe this to the less command. And so we can see here we have the network manager, we have many other services already available to us and are working in the system. And again, as I mentioned before, I will leave in the video description below a link to the Artix wiki where it explains exactly how to use the S6 commands to enable, disable, start and stop services.
There you go, this is how you can install the Artix Linux with the S6 init system. At the beginning I was also a little bit confused as some things are different than I was used to, but once I figured out how it works, it's actually pretty simple. And I see a really good performance with the S6 init system, especially at boot times. I hope you liked the video, guys. If you did, please hit the like button below and subs to the channel if you haven't already. Subs always helps us out. And if you want to support the channel, you can do so by visiting our Patreon website, or you can donate via PayPal to our website as well. Thank you so much for watching the video, guys, and I'll see you soon in the next one.